can see that nothing has changed. That was literally 5 seconds before my computer reconnected. The cleansing wave was where he got his 7th amber. So now Potofreak is in a bind. He's got to figure out how to drain at least 2 amber from his opponent. He calls Dis, plays a Schuler. That will take care of one of the 2. He's still got to do one more somehow. If he had something like his Hysteria would be amazing right now because he'd be able to play out Drumble again. Well, not anymore, but would have been able to play out Drumble. And there's the good game. He can't get the 2nd amber gone. So even though he can reap across the board and get himself 5 more, it's not going to be enough. And there you have it. Just because you have, again, Board State was at this point clearly on Potofreak's side, but that is not enough to win the game. You've got to get the amber. And a key clutch card in Glorious Few right after the board wipe is really what the turning point of this game was. Without Glorious Few, I think Potofreak takes it. But well-timed Glorious Few gets 6 amber and lets Zaxxram take the match. Okay. Alright, let's go see if there's any other games still going on. Yeah, Zaxxram is now pointing out that Snudge could return a flank creature, so he could have bounced Schuler and played him again to drop it under. They're discussing it now. But yeah, Schuler could, or Snudge could have bounced Schuler and then played Schuler again to steal another one, which would have dropped Zaxxram below the 6. Alright. Minor mistake on Potofreak's side, but let's see if there's any games that are relatively early. I'm not going to join this one because he's got showing. These two have show each other's hand or show spectators the hand sets. Looking for Nobody Gaming. Is Nobody Gaming in the tournament? Nobody. Yes. But that's an off game. That's not necessarily part of the tournament because Nobody Gaming has already won the loser bracket in Group I. Let's see here. Who else is out here? Let me refresh this page. We've got that game is still going on. I want to go into them again. Potofreak and Dude. We just watched Potofreak. Let us look at this one. Sith of Angmar and King Gerd. Sith of... That would be right here. KFE. And watch. Going to take a moment to mute my mic and take a drink. Alright, here we have Kinger versus Sith of Angmar. Kinger is on the deck Cassandra La Stukete Furlich Dovi. And Sith of Angmar is on Hellstrom of Redazin. Kinger has Mars, Sanctum, and Shadows. Thus far has called Mars once and a bunch of, or each faction at least, or probably just once, but had a very strong Shadows turn, gaining 5 Ember to put him at 7, and in danger of forging his first key. On Sith of Angmar's side, he has already lost to Dew Fairy, presumably to the Nerve Blast, and thrown away a couple cards, and Honestly, probably thrown away both Save the Pack and Neutron Shark. Um, well, Save the Pack probably came from playing Neutron Shark. Although that would imply turn one. Interesting. In any event, the board state currently appears to heavily favor Sith. He has managed to capture enough Amber from Kinger to keep Kinger from forging his key on the next turn. And with a gigantic champion Naphiel protecting Flaxia, that's going to be very painful for Kinger. So, Champion Naphiel has taunt and is already large at 6 with 1 armor, but he's getting an extra 2 armor and 2 power. So he's an 8 with 3 armor, which is a little bit ridiculous. And then we've got a Sequus and Ray Knight. Sequus just captures on Reap. And then, of course, the Flaxia, you get... Oh, that's not what I thought it was. Flaxia is just gaining Amber when you play her, if you control more. I forget what the creature was. There's an untamed creature that I'm thinking of that you gain an Amber whenever your opponent plays a creature. I think it's untamed? I could be wrong. That's what I thought Flaxia was. Flaxia is still... it's perfectly fine to protect her, but not... It doesn't have a game-breakingly powerful ability that he's keeping safe. On the other side, we have Kinger with the Grey Monk and the same shoulder armor that we saw in the Champion Naphiel. So this is a 3 armor creature with 5 power. And importantly, he gives the entire board of Kinger armor. So as new creatures come into play, they will be armored and therefore harder to kill. Particularly to a lot of mass damage. Things like the Neutron Bolt or Twin Bolt Emission. Or sorry, Positron Blast and Twin Bolt Emission will be much less effective because everybody has armor. Plays out 2 Mars creatures. I have to assume that's setting up for future state. The harder they fall. Very, very strong card in Sanctum. Allows you to purge a creature with 5 or more power. Because Grey Monk was boosted, he was susceptible to that and is now removed from the game and will not be seen again. That is disappointing for Kinger. Take hostages for the remainder of the turn. Each time a friendly creature fights, it captures an Amber. So he's going to go and fight the elusive creature at the very least. Probably both. And capture 3 Amber with the 3 Sanctum creatures he has. Putting Sith of Angmar solidly in the lead. He's up 1 key to none. Oh, he didn't choose to fight the Marauder. He chose to Reap instead. Interesting. I mean, that does let him capture the Amber anyways, and he gets an Amber out of it, but it leaves the creature on the board. Now, the 2 power Yixi Marauder is not a terrible creature to leave. It's not going to be able to do much. That having been said, I probably would have gone for the complete board control. That might not be the right thing to have done. It would have made Psychic Network far less attractive because it would have done nothing instead of letting him steal 1. And a Mother Gun comes down. Now at this point, Kinger has played 5 of his Mars cards, so he's got 7 left in the 25 cards in the deck. It's important to remember things like that when you're looking at Mother Gun, because you gotta have the cards in hand to use it. Sith of Angmar once again calls Sanctum, and this is why I think Sanctum is very powerful. It's got beefy creatures that are very hard to kill, and because of the armor, they don't take the attrition damage like Brobnar creatures do. So you can call Sanctum turn after turn after turn and just reap your way to victory. When your opponent is sitting there looking at your board state going, how do I crack it? And right now, Kinger doesn't seem to have an answer to the Sanctum army that is on the board for Sith. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to keep calling Sith until you can show me you can prevent it. Or I said Sith. Keep calling Sanctum until you show me you can prevent it. Now Kinger is considering. I can't give any insights to what he might call because his board is dead. It's unlikely he has any Mars cards in hand because he only got to play one last turn. Two. He played the Mother Gun and Psychic Network. So, ooh, Virtuous Works. Immediately gain 3 Amber and nothing else. An honorable claim for each friendly night creature, or each friendly night creature captures 1. Well, that just gave him an Amber. So he just said, I'm going to take 4 Amber, and you're going to call Sanctum again and capture it with Sequus. He calls Sanctum, reaps across the board. It doesn't even matter if he doesn't have a Sanctum card in his hand. He's going to continue to build his Amber pool, capturing 1 to prevent Kinger from being able to forge his first key, and probably doesn't even have a Sanctum card in his hand at this point. And in fact does not. Chooses not to play any cards from hand, reaps 4 times, captures the Ember to keep Kinger from forging, and says, go ahead, stop me. Kinger on his previous turn only was able to play 2 cards. So if he didn't have options before, he only had 2 chances to draw into something. I'm thinking this is not looking good for Kinger. Even a bait and switch here doesn't help. Because of his last turn, because he gained so much Amber, he doesn't have the low Amber pool required to make bait and switch a good play. He chooses Mars, so he could have up to 2 creatures. With Mars, he activates the Mother Gun. Or could have up to 2 Mars cards in his hand, I believe. By my calculations from the past few turns. Oh, he has 3. Probably had the soft landing when he couldn't use it on the last Mars turn. Go away, pop-up. Plays soft landing. What did he do the damage to? He did it to Raiding Knight. Interesting. Plays the Megamouth and the Marauder. Unfortunately, he has no friendly creatures to use with the Megamouth, so he just throws it into killing off the Raiding Knight and getting 2 Amber back, putting him at 7, and finally getting 1 of the Sanctum creatures off the board. Sith of Angmar may be tempted to call something other than Sanctum here. I still don't know what's in his hand, but would have to say that I would call Sanctum here, looking at this board. And he does call Sanctum. Probably use Champion Aphiel to murder the Marauder. Get that Amber that was captured back, and then reap and reap. That concedes the key, unless he has something in his hand. But he's just going to go ahead and reap across the board. That's probably fine. I would have killed the Marauder. It had the exact same effect as reaping. It just got the creature off the board. Because it has an Amber captured. Kinger does get to forge his first key. And now we look at a board state where not much has changed. The Raiding Knight is dead, but the Sanctum here just is so hard to crack. And barring direct removal, which there's not a lot of in these houses, obviously the harder they come would be really powerful here to take out Champion Aphiel. But Oubliette's not going to do any good, which would be in Shadows. Trying to think of other cards that could kill off this board state out of Mars Sanctum Shadows. I'm not coming up with much in my head. So he plays out 2 Raiding Knights, captures 2 Amber, passes the turn back. Sith of Angmar. I know it's kind of painful and boring, but I say you should call Sanctum again. I still think you should start clearing with Champion Ophiel and healing him with Protectrix, because everything on your opponent's board has Amber, so it's just as good as Reaping. And in fact, he does. Uh, Champion Ophiel fights one of the Raiding Knights, killing it off. And then we're going to see Protectrix Reap and heal him, and Sequus Reap. Slowly getting the Amber back up for the third key. Maintain the board state. Just an impossible nut to crack with damage. And it looks like that's all that Kinger has for board state control is direct damage. Mars is called as the active house. We'll see Mother Gun activate again, I'm sure. But there's just not much Kinger can do. I mean, Sith of Angmar is able to keep his 3 Sanctum creatures alive and well, even without using the Hallowed Blaster. He's had the Hallowed Blaster out there for the whole game, and I don't know that I've seen him use it. Protectrix is doing all the healing that's necessary. So Mother Gun hits it for 2. He's setting up the Mass Abduction. There you go. I would throw... I know you're giving them an Amber back, but I would throw the Marauder at Protectrix to get some damage on the Protectrix before you use the Mass Abduction. Mass Abduction lets you take 3 damaged enemy creatures into your archive, and then they stay there until you pick up your archive, then they go back to your opponent. In other words, you basically remove them from the game. There is exactly 1 card, and I believe it is in Logos, that lets you force your opponent to get cards out of their archive. And yes, we see that he does exactly that. The Ixtli Blaster hits Protectrix. Mass Abduction lets him take both of them into the archive. And now the board state's under control, now that Sith of Angmar is at 5 Amber, 2, and 2 keys. It's not over, and that play gives Kinger a chance, but I think it is probably too little too late. We shall see, but it's looking kind of rough. Oh, pretty sure it's come back, but not what I wanted to do. We see Sith of Angmar call Logos and start dropping down a bunch of Logos creatures to get board state using a Wild Wormhole, which gives him an Amber, making his keys cheaper with Titan Mechanic, somewhat offsetting the Jammer Pack that, or no, it's Biomatrix Backup that's on the Raiding Knight, so that's not even going to help. We see Kinger using Shadows and Too Much Protect to steal all but 6. He's still got to steal another 1. Ooh, Smiling Ruth. Not actually sure I've seen her in a match before. But he cannot do it. He has to steal 2 more because of the Titan mechanic. And Sith of Angmar takes this one, 3 keys to 1. Even though Kinger is sitting on 10 Amber from a very strong Shadows turn, it was way too little too late. Alright, we'll pop back out here, go back into play. Nope. Leave game. That was a pretty one-sided match, unfortunately. Kinger should be smarting a little bit from that one. Just those 3 Sanctum creatures locked him down completely. Let's see here. Are there any matches still going on? Refresh the challenge page. We see Duncan and Pokalope have not reported a score yet. Sith of Angmar and Kingerde were what we just watched. Takuso and... Oh, wow. They got a rematch. Takuso versus DMC Key. The first game we watched of the night are going at it again. In Group D, in the losers bracket final. Let's look for Judge BM, though. Right here. Oh, there was no password on this game. Also, holy smokes, that's a board. Before we start, I will remind you once again that tonight's Keyforge tournament is sponsored by Orbits, makers of fine Keyforge tokens. I have a set of damage tokens on my way from them, and I'm very much looking forward to getting them and using them to play with my wife. Also sponsoring Keyforge events are Tabletop Legion and Burger tokens. Now we have Sherd Mackinac versus Judge BM. And it's going to take some deciphering of this board state. Both of them have a very strong Sanctum presence with a Commander Remiel, which having this many creatures on the board gives him tremendous options. Commander Remiel lets you use a non-friendly or a friendly non-Sanctum creature when you reap with him. Protectrix, which we've seen before in that last game, allowing him to heal up anything at all. I will come to Roundtable in just a minute. Rady Knights captures on interplay, and then Frankus, whenever he destroys a creature, he captures one. Versus Sergeant Zekiel, which is just a non-playability, so now it's just a 4-power creature with 1/2 armor. Hail the Merchant. Each time you play an artifact, you gain an amber. Grey Monk, which is where the extra armor has been coming from. And a Gatekeeper. If your opponent on play, if your opponent has 7 or more, capture all but 5 of it. And Replicator comes down. Holy smokes. That I don't even know where to begin on this board state. Psychic Bugs, looking at his opponent's hand. I mean, seriously, I don't know where to begin. Well, I guess I do. We talked about Sanctum. Let's now look at Sherd Mackinaw's Shadows creatures with Shadow Self protecting Bad Penny. So sad. And Umbra. Much, much more worthy of protection. And a Nexus hanging out there. Not a lot of fight. Evasion Sigil can sometimes lead to board states like this because fighting is a gamble at best. But, wow. That is a lot of Logos creatures he played last turn. So, for Judge BM is at 6. Let's actually focus on what matters here. Sherd Mackinac has to drain him of at least 1 more. I didn't see anything that's causing keys to cost more. If he can't drain 1, he uses Umbra to steal 1. Yeah, he's on Shadows, so he was always going to be able to attack with Umbra. Was he on Shadows? Yeah, he's on Shadows. How did he... Must have already been there. Lets him steal the 1 that he needed and reap with the rest, putting him at 16 amber. This has got to be the end. I don't see how Sherd can possibly come, or Judge BM can really recover from this. Effervescent Principle won't do it, because that would put him at 8. Bait and Switch wouldn't do it. That would put them both at 10 and 11. Would still require a lot of stealing after the fact. Out of Sanctum, if he could bounce his Gatekeeper, that would do it. Because I saw a Gatekeeper out here. That would be very effective. Too much protect followed by any steal would do it. Trying to think of other options. Oh, miasma. I'm not sure why Sherd said he used miasma. Oh, on the prior turn. That's how he got to 18. I gotcha. Yeah, right now, got to figure out how to get that 18 down. Miasma stalled him a turn. Right there on his last Shadow's turn. But he's in a world of hurt right now. There's a lot of lines. When you have the Replicator, you can use any other creature's Reap ability, which means not actually a whole lot. He could use one of the artifacts, which draws a card. That's a last-ditch effort at best. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's using Nexus to use the Library of Babel, or Nexus ability to use the Library of Babel, draw a card, and see if he can get an out. Reaps with Dexter. And just going through and reaping. He's at 11 amber, but unless he's managed something like too much to protect or a way, well, he can't bounce the Gatekeeper now because he's not on Sanctum. And that's the end of the game. Very interesting game. That was a ridiculous board. Holy smokes. And they had a lot of viewers. Because everybody is now finishing up and waiting for the cut to finals, which is going to look, oh, it should be probably like 5 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 rounds for the finals. You've got 2 play-in games, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 games in which you have 2 buys. So 2 play-in games with 2 buys. And then you have the normal bracket from there. Are there any other group stage games going? Duncan versus Pokaloop haven't reported yet. And that is it. Waiting on Duncan and Pokaloop at this point for the cut to finals. Duncan, there's Duncan. They have not turned on spectators, so I can't go and see what is going on in that game. It's been going on for 12 minutes, so it may be a little bit before they pop up and move into the finals. So I will take this opportunity once again to, this time I'll actually pull up Orbits. Makers of fine Keyforge tokens and sponsor of the event tonight. The winner will be receiving a set of tokens from Orbits. I'm not actually sure which set, but they make quite a few. It's going to be one of these 3. It'll either be the Stun, Amber, or Damage tokens. Damage tokens, I think, are your best value. Just because of the 3 of these, the cards that I'm always running out of, or the tokens I always run out of, are damage tokens. So, augmenting the starter set that I have would be tremendously valuable. That's why I'm getting some damage tokens. And these are double-sided, so 1 and 3 are on each one. Someday I'm going to get myself a set of keys, premium keys, but that won't be right now. The winner, though, will get one of these sets of tokens. Other sponsors of Keyforge events are Tabletop Legion and Burger Tokens. Tabletop Legion makes some very nice quality Keyforge boxes, and Burger Tokens makes larger sets of tokens. Ooh, next week is the keys. According to the Keyforge decks, next week is the keys. Tonight is damage tokens. But the keys,